and Policy, Indian Institute of Science, and Indian Urban Data Exchange. For those of us joining us for the first time, Data Dialogues are a talk series facilitating advancements in the data sphere. Today, we will be discussing on perspectives on data economy, balancing profits, power, and privacy. We are fortunate to have with us Mr. Mahesh Venkataraman, Managing Director, Cloud First Accenture, to share his thoughts and light into the discussions on data economy perspectives. The digital revolution has completely transformed the social sphere. Data has acquired acquaintance as a useful resource that can be applied to a range of tasks, including determining customer propensity and business forecasting. And the various parties involved in data exchange and transactions seems to have very clear and distinct goals. The forces of profits, power, and privacy seem to be intricately and quite interestingly interacting among each other to build an emerging future world scenario. This talk covers some potential future areas that might have a strong impact on the society, economy, business, governance, as well as some macro level nominative as well as positive views also on the delicate balance between profits, power, and privacy. I would request all the participants to hold their questions towards the end of the talk or put it in the chat box, then after which we could open the floor for discussion with the speaker. Without any further ado, I would take this opportunity to introduce our speaker, Mr. Mahesh Venkataraman. Mahesh Venkataraman has over 34 years of experience in the information technology industry and has assumed various responsibilities like technology management, services management, and business management. His specialization areas include software architecture, services innovation, building partnership ecosystem, and practical applications of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data mining. His area of study and interest involves application of interdisciplinary approach to building AI systems, and in order to increase its explainability, eliminate bias, and to improve its transparency and impact. Apart from his wide industry experience, he has also been a visiting faculty at academic institution, is a frequent speaker at international conferences, and holds over 12 patents. Over to you, sir, now. I would like you to take over from here.
Thank you, Rupsa, for the introduction. So we have around 40 minutes. I'll take around 40 minutes to give my perspective, and then hopefully we'll have lots of questions. The topic is vast, so I'll rush through some concepts because the audience is varying background. So I will not dwell deep into certain topics, and I assume certain topics are known to you all, like the fundamental data science and foundations of all that we're going to talk about. So the whole idea is to talk about perspectives, and many times we talk about profit, we talk about privacy. There's a lot of talk about privacy and then how privacy is getting infringed. But there is also additional factor that I wanted to bring about, which is not very obvious, is the power, because data is also means of power and control. And that part is kind of sometimes drowned in the debate on privacy. So I'll talk about models, challenges, the policy issues, and of course, some amount of career related and the path ahead. Many of them are facts, and a lot of them are some kind of perspectives. So feel free to challenge, question, and clarify at the end of the presentation. So many of you who understand economics, there are two kinds of economics. One is positive and another is normative. Positive is about what is and explains and fact-based, whereas normative is about what ought to be. Right? It's about value judgment and what is fair. Like, privacy is required. Privacy infringement is unfair, is normative. But positive is talking about what is really. Sky is blue. There is no value judgment about it, right? So positive is not the typical positive that we have heard in our typical day-to-day English. It's more of economics economics terminology. So we will need to talk about both these aspects: what is happening versus what ought to be happening, what ought not to be happening. So the fourth industrial revolution we are talking about now is primarily, the first was steam and mechanical. Second was um, just a minute, please. Second was electricity and mass production. Then the last 3, 4 decades have been all about computing and intelligence, right? Now let's understand intelligence. What is intelligence? Is intelligence the kind of intelligence that, like human beings, you and me, are intelligent? Or is it intelligence limited to data-driven intelligence? So this intelligence is all about data-driven intelligence and not so much about reasoning and creativity and other futuristic thinking, right? If you look at the intelligence continuum, you have the rule-based response intelligence, a data-driven response. But today, no matter what people tell us, reasoning and causality and counterfactuals are not available today in the data science or AI and machine learning or statistics. As a non-academic, I'll be interchangeably using data science, statistics, machine learning, and AI because from an industry perspective, I look at them as one single continuum. So what we're talking about is more of a data-driven response, data-driven intelligent decisions, predictions, right, and less on causality, right? Now, you would have seen this. Now, what is interesting about this often seen diagram is you have descriptive analytics, you have predictive analytics. Now, what is very prevalent is predictive analytics and descriptive. Descriptive is all about graphs and charts and pie charts and telling what is, right? Now, really speaking, diagnostic, in my opinion, in my experience, diagnosis is all about reasoning and you know root cause chain that is not automatic. It has to be inferred by a human being. And prescriptive, which is what to do. Data doesn't tell you what to do. Data tells you what is and what is likely to happen. The creative analytics and prescriptive is still in the realm of human minds. So the what is important is predictive and descriptive. And I'm not saying, I'm sorry, that is not what I meant. What is happening today is more of predictive and descriptive and less on diagnosis, prescriptive and creative, because all these three, diagnostic, prescriptive, and creative, are primarily in the realm of human plus analytics. So why I'm saying this is because um, we have to understand data economy is showing huge promise, but we also have to understand what it does not do. So the fourth industrial revolution that is propounded by World Economic Forum is all about intelligence, digitization, integration, coming from plethora of devices, mobile device, IoTs, location-based technologies, human-machine interfaces, 3D printing, smart sensors, big data analytics, and a lot of data-driven inference, right? So now what is driving the data economy? You will see that the fourth industrial revolution, you can look it up in Google, and data economy and data monetization are all quite synonymous. What is driving data economy is, of course, the push towards fourth industrial revolution, Web3, which is decentralized identity, cloud, of course, biotechnology, which is they're talking a lot about merging um, cyber world and the biological world, not just biotechnology, smartphones, data sciences, token economy, very interesting. Many of you would have known about it. Token economy is all about reinforcing certain behavior based on token, a transaction wherein a behavior is is reinforced. You could say cryptocurrency is one of them. And then what is futuristic about token economy is that central bank digital currency, wherein there's a contract between the currency issuer and you and me, and it could also expire. A token economy is all about, for the purpose, it is to incentivize certain behavior. Now, this is great, but you will also see how this also could be, could lead to a direction that is you and me may not want, right? We'll see about that. That's very interesting. Technology drives certain directions that often we human beings tend to be a bit wary about. Now, from consumer trends, we have networks, devices, social media, enterprise. We've seen all these data collection technologies, cloud and ML. Of course, in India, digitization is becoming a big, I would say, last 2, 3 years. Ever since the pandemic started, it has really pushed the adoption of digital economy, not necessarily data economy, like Beam and all that. Now we go to a shop, very few merchants accept cash today, right? Now, data explosion. Now, there is so much talk about how much data is being created, captured, and copied and consumed. You will never be able to estimate exactly how much it is. But what is important is it is to the tune of zettabytes, hundreds of zettabytes, which is 1 billion. One zettabyte is 1 billion terabytes. But what is going to be a great opportunity for people like you and me who are technologists and for economists and corporates is very few of that data is actually tagged metadata, and a very small portion of that is actually used, and a large portion of that is completely unprotected. This is also scary. It's also a huge opportunity for people like us who are in the realm of technology. Now, what is why the data is not being used is primarily, in my opinion, that knowledge is often knowledge comes from connections, and many of this data are actually siloed, and this silo does not help at all, right? So data is all about people, places, events, and things. For example, Mahesh traveled to London for IEEE conference, and Mahesh bought a laptop. Mahesh by itself is not of great use. London is of not much use, nor is IEEE. How they are all connected together and how they trend over time, that is going to be very important, right? We'll come back to this particular knowledge from connections, knowledge graphs, and semantic modeling, and how that is underutilized today, underrated, and that is what is going to connect all the quantitative data and bring some real value and some decision basis, right? Otherwise, there is no explainability or causality in data. We all know that. Now, what happened to big data? Why I'm not talking about big data? I do follow Gartner, and Gartner stopped talking about big data in 2015, and they haven't returned to it, primarily because Gartner talks about small data and wide data. Gartner says there is no point in talking about big data. There is so much data today, fair enough, but many of that data is outdated. Better to use what is available to you, and what is wide data is all about structured and unstructured connecting. We saw about connection a couple of slides ago. Connecting data and ensuring that you have a clear business problem and a decision framework and a key goal. Often what happens is data is not available or data is not connected, and the purpose is not very clearly stated, leading a situation wherein hammer looks for a nail. Often data science and data the attempt to bring about driving data economy often fails because the hammer often looks for a nail. Now, you and me, we are stuck here, and there is this marketers, advertisers, government. Give me your data. I will give you this. I'll give you that. And then there are privacy advocates and think tank. No, do not share data. You're going to lose your privacy, right? But then we all want everything free. We all want to get a fair share of, a fair, equitable proportion of risks and rewards. What is the way out? The only way out to understand this first is to look at benefits and risks. For example, individuals, we want choice and convenience and value, but we don't want to lose privacy and we don't want to incur financial losses. How do you balance these two? Enterprises, investors want operational excellence, growth, profit, innovation, customer intimacy, all that comes from data analytics and data economy, but they don't want fraud. They don't want litigation. They don't want to lose trust. What about government? Government wants to drive improvement in public services and governance. They want to improve law and order, but that has to be balanced by liberty, democracy, and citizen safety. Now, what is important here is we don't have a proper taxonomy, and many organizations, many think tanks are talking about creating a new taxonomy, a terminology that will, because taxonomy and terminology and language drives thinking, and the thinking drives the right actions. So we don't have a common flow of how the data value chain starts. We have some terms, but not consistent that will give everybody in the world, all the stakeholders in the world, a common way of discussing, improving, and avoiding pitfalls. Now, this is the balance that I'm talking about. It's like a hexagon. We are regulatory bodies who want to always drive compliance, no matter what. We have citizen consumers. We want privacy, safety, security, value. We have corporations, growth and profit. We have privacy and civil liberty driven by privacy advocates, and then the government. Now, I have added one more here. There is a very big section of global influencers who do not fall under either corporations or any of these categories, who are like consortium, who are quietly working towards a new world driven by high tech. And that is, they also play a big role in defining policy. Now, we will talk more about it. Where is the power coming here? We will see it. There is also some element of power and control likely. I don't want to kind of be the activist saying that there is a lot of power and control going on there. But what I want all of us as technocrats, as economists, as corporate people to understand is that all of them have to be kept in mind, because often the discussions are very, very one-sided, right? Now, what are the technologies? As I said before, we have to look at all this in its continuum: statistics, data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, including, in my view, symbolic AI, natural language processing, knowledge graphs, and qualitative reasoning as one single data science. Otherwise, only looking at deep learning is not going to help, right? What is the data value chain here? Data value chain, data collectors, processors, and data brokers. There is also data exchange like IODX. Now, why I'm showing this graph, this particular picture is, if you go and search on data processors, the companies, there are tens of them instead of, rather than, if not hundreds. There is tens of data brokers. Now, what is going to be important here is so much technology being pushed by these companies, right? Now, finally, when it comes to data protection laws, the company is one single accountability point is required. If I, as a company CEO, is engaging all these companies, but I have a data breach or a privacy issue, I am going to be liable. So how do we make all these companies work together? And how do we apportion risk and reward to all of them, right? I'm not explaining this because many of you already know about it. The collector is all about point of collection, and collection is everywhere. I will talk more about it. Processing is all about processing the data, using the right algorithm and model to be used, and then I could sell it to data brokers in the digital data marketplace, right? Now, Gartner says that 70% of the organizations will shift their focus from big to small and wide data. So no big data, because big data is too difficult to handle, and you are better off starting with small data and making sense out of it, connecting structured and unstructured, right? Now, coming to data, Gartner's hype cycle, as many of you know, this is like a what they call the hype cycle. On the right side is something that is already taken off. Here is where there is a disillusionment. Means, yeah, I've talked so much, but nothing is happening. There is some kind of a despair that nothing is going on. This is where there is a lot of excitement, right? If you look at the emerging tech for 2022, at least six topics are related to data economics: decentralized identity, non-fungible tokens, Web3, which is decentralized identity again, digital human interface, data observability, and digital twin of a customer, all cybersecurity. All of them are very data intensive. They use data as well as they actually provide outcomes from data. Coming to AI, I assume includes other data science technologies. If you look at it, very heartening to see that data labeling and annotation is taken off. That is very, very important. Otherwise, a lot of data is not annotated and not labeled. What is interesting is natural language processing, which holds huge promise because that is what is going to connect the world of symbolic AI and statistical AI is actually the trough of disillusionment. Let us hope that as technologists, this will take off in the near future. Edge AI knowledge graphs related to natural language processing is also in the trough of disillusionment. Then responsible AI is still not there. We're talking a lot about responsible AI, ethical AI, that is still a lot of excitement, but still not there. Then there is composite decision intelligence, data centric AI, causal AI, right? Now, as I told you, no matter what people tell you, there is still no causality knowledge or inference in AI. And that is what is going to really help data economy and inferencing and data decisioning to really take off. Now, coming to data management, data preparation tools, data integration tools are already taken off. Graph DBMS is just taking off, which is again related to natural language processing. Data discovery is still on the trough of disillusionment. Metadata is still not there yet. Then the marketplace and exchanges, still a lot of excitement, but I'm very happy to see that IUDX is our very own data exchange that is going to hopefully, I'm very hopeful that this is going to really make India a great data-driven economy, socially responsible. And edge data management, lots of these IoTs and edge devices, still they do not have the enough processing power or storage to conduct their own data management. Everything is on the cloud. That is causing huge choke point at the networks, right? Now, coming to data top trends, what is important is they talk about composability, which means analytics modules that can be composed by either data scientist or by the consumer to create something like a citizen data analytics, right? And that is going to really remove data science from the realm of technology, only at the in the realm of technology towards the realm of consumers or businesses or people who do not understand data science. They can take the module, compose it, and create some new application that will help them drive decisions, right? Now, what are the challenges? Purpose definition often is below par, and data is not complete or data is incorrect. Choice of algorithms and the modeling and training the model and testing the model and continuous improvement, all these five elements are so important. It's not about just going there and using a platform or using some Python language or using some tool or a cloud based to say, look, tomorrow I'm going to be data intelligent, right? Why I'm saying this is because the fundamental analytics, fundamental machine learning is very important to drive data economy. Now, if I just an example, how many of us have seen that, when I buy something, right? I immediately get a lot of SMSs, lots of WhatsApp. They don't even know what I want. All they do is, bombard me with a lot of messages. If I buy gold jewelry at ABC Jewelers yesterday, I bought on one extreme, will it be that this is rare? X will never buy gold again. Another extreme is X will buy gold again at ABC, or in between, X will buy gold during festivals, X will buy gold during anniversary, X will buy gold during inflation. That is not there today. So it's all predictive algorithms often kind of end up bombarding the customer or not finding the right customer or the right time to provide that prediction. This prediction is true for all kinds of predictions, right? So why? Because reasoning, causality, and counterfactual and explainability today are a big challenge. That it's not that it is stopping us. It is just that we have to be aware of it and factor that into our strategy, planning, and execution. Now, failures, we have to be aware as technologists that right from being very comic failures to very serious failures about about discrimination, about ethics and gender bias. We have lots of examples where these predictions and identification have gone seriously wrong. As I said, the correlation, uncertainty, lack of counterfactuals, all are extremely important points to be understood and managed and improved upon. Now, this is just a lighter example. If you do a distance between India and Bangalore, you will probably see this because India is, according to Google, in the center part of India, maybe Nagpur, right? People who are from Nagpur will be happy that you are from the center, you are real India, right? Now, read these books on ethics and data economy, weapons of mass destruction. The idea is not, they talk about ethics in AI, ethical AI, but what is very important for all of us to understand is wrong use of AI, trusting the judgment or the decision of the AI or the machine learning model so much that you are taking a decision that could affect somebody's economic status, could affect somebody's legal status, could affect somebody's conviction in crime, or could affect somebody's opportunities, right? It is difficult for us technologists to understand whether AI itself is ethical. AI is, after all, a machine, right? It's a bunch of code. Though it is not a logic code, it is a data-driven code. But how AI is used is going to be extremely important. While many of these books are, they are exaggerating a bit, but what is required is how do we use AI ethically? That is more important, right? Now, what are the key policy issues? On average, me or you, we have relationship with around between 25 to 50 organizations, right? Financial services, retail, government, healthcare, social, travel, news and entertainment. If you have a smartphone, there is a very high chance that you probably are interacting with 25 organizations, even if you are not opening that application. And that is going to be important. It's not necessary that you're opening that application. There is still some amount of connection with that particular category, right? Now, this is important, very interesting. Some amount of data you volunteer by entering the form, either in the website or whether it is paper or whether it is mobile application, right? A lot of data is observed during usage, like a browser, apps, your activity, web clicks, search, and all that, right? But huge amount of data is actually observed in the background. Where you go, even if you switch off the location, you have towers, you have SMS, you have microphone, camera, and many of you would have seen this, right? You're just carrying your mobile, you're talking about, say, I want to buy a Van Heusen shirt tomorrow, right? And then, surprise, surprise, something pops up and it talks about, shirt, right? You haven't switched on your camera or your mobile phone, right? Or you take a picture of something, and then after a couple of days, you get some, Google feed about that, right? So huge data is copied here. Moderate amount of data is, I'm sorry, huge amount of data is collected, moderate amount of data during usage, and a small amount of data is volunteered. What is the implication? What you volunteer is very small, and what you are contributing, or you or I am contributing, is huge. Now, what does it mean? There is already a lot of data collected about us, right? Now, what kind of data? Personal identity, financial history, medical history, transactional data, behavior data, interaction history, right? Suppose you are with your friend and the two mobile phones are there in the restaurant, in the same location, probably using Wi-Fi, and you could say that X and Y are friends, right? So interactions, whom do you call? Everything is available today in the cloud. Now, when the data economy is all about connecting, when that connection happens, everybody's profile or digital persona or digital twin could be created, right? It is not that you volunteer, only that is collected. A lot of usage and background data is collected, right? Now, if you're a foodie, you could have your digital portrayed by some business. You could be a foodie and they'll send you a credit card, for pizza, discount, or they could send you insurance because I'm eating a lot of junk food, and they could say, look, you're eating a lot of junk, your insurance premium goes up. I'm joking, but that's possible. And if I am affiliated to a political party, I could be getting more, either a different political party to influence me, or I could be. Many times it's seen that under the pretext of violation of community guidelines, many accounts have been blocked, right? Now, I'm not getting into what is right, wrong, what is happening, right? If you could be portrayed in digital portrait as a party person, and you could have a lot of food apps, sending you something, or a cab aggregator saying that I'm a party guy, and on a weekend, here is a discount for going to the pub or whatever, right? Adventure, I could be pushed healthcare products or insurance. Or if I'm delaying my payment, I could be sent some extra credit, or I could be sent reminders, or my credit history could be adversely affected, right? Now, coming to the regulation, it's heartening to know that 71% of the countries have legislated, and except for Venezuela and some African countries and some, say, I think this is Afghanistan, India is deep green, which is there is legislation, which is good. Now we will see what kind of legislation, right? Now, if you look at some sample legislations, laws, I'm not getting into all of them. Very interesting, you will see each of them focuses on one or couple of more of issues. For example, GDPR holds collector accountable. Ticketmaster was fined 1.25 million because they used a chatbot called Inventa, and there was a leak. And Ticketmaster said, it's because of Inventa. Inventa said, you did not configure my chatbot well. Both were fighting, but GDPR, the UK government, I think the regulator, find Ticketmaster. So accountability is still with the person, with the company that is harnessing these technologies. California Consumer Protection Act has a very strong do not sell button, don't sell clause. There is DCIA, ethical AI. In India, government is exempt. In CPA Colorado, you can have a right to access, correct, and delete and move out. Another, there is a standard for financial regulatory. What is interesting here is that our data could be shared between financial institutions and regulators in pursuit of financial stability. Now, whatever that may mean, which means that my financial data could be shared between various banks and regulators under certain conditions. Then there is fast healthcare interoperability resources. All are good, excellent, but then there is also another side that needs to be looked at, right? Now, what are the challenges? Data collection. Now, this collection part, even though they talk about consent and transparency, we have seen that a lot of data is collected while simply observing you or simply being in the background. That data, is it deleted? Do I have a right to be forgotten? I don't know. Data usage, there is disclosure, there is an issue of disclosure and how the data is being used. Is it used for something good for me, good for the community, good for the world, or is it being used to get some unfair advantage? What about data handling? What about right to be forgotten? These are the main issues in data economy, right? Now, I will not go deep into it. In 2020, over a billion records got breached, right? And then organized crimes, right? Now, there is a definition of personal data. Everybody has a fairly consistent, but um, you know, what is personal data is something that identifies me, my affiliations, my religion, my attitude, or my my criminal convictions. I mean, criminal offenses, my religious convictions. That is personal data. That much everybody is clear. Now, what do we have to do? We have to ensure there is a privacy by design in every organization and every tool that goes into data economics, right? First is privacy for compliance. I'll do it because if I don't do it, I'll be punished, or I'll do it because I want to gain trust. I'll do it because it's a good business model, right? And then there are issues like individuals should own the personal data, or who should own it, right? And should I get compensated for the data that is being used by somebody, my data? There is a lot of talk about me getting, monetary benefit, informed consent, accountability, and transparency. Now, this is interesting again from a technology angle. You have personal data store. We still don't have it so much, global personal data store. There is a personal data monitoring to ensure, to check, to monitor who is using the data. And there is also a preference management system wherein I can go and I can say, my data that has been collected in the store, I allow consent it to be used for ABC purposes, right? Now, personal data protection bill, there are lots of, it's pretty good. Still, there is a lot of debate about it. There are some supporters, there are detractors. It does cover a lot of aspects, right? Now, coming to World Economic Forum, why did I take this? Is because they are significant player influencers in shaping the world, technology, the world of technology, world of health, society, climate, economic policies, and they're talking about a lot of things like great reset. You will own nothing and you'll be happy. You can look it up later, but they play a significant role in driving data economy. Now, what World Economic Forum says, I'll have to quickly, come to an end because I need more. We will have to have time for questions. What they are saying is that separate out data collection and data use, right? And legislate, their focus seems to be more on the usage control rather than collection control, my understanding, right? Now, the data, and then they also say that data has to be combined for greater leverage, right? Sharing data, break the silos, and focus more on permissioning, focus lots of data exchanges and marketplaces. Now, to go into details, they are talking about contributors and consumers connected by data exchanges like IODX. They are supporting collaboration between commercial and government and personal, which means that companies can collaborate, government can collaborate. There is just free, of course, ethical but permissioned collaboration of data. They are talking about decoupling data collection from data use. Of course, they talk about rights and they talk about fourth industrial revolution, which we already discussed. And they are spending a lot of time in driving data exchange and data marketplace similar to IODX. Now, privacy enhancing technologies, how to hide data, how to separate data, how to have homomorphic encryption, which is, processing data without decryption. There is how do we ensure control and how do we enforce? And blockchain, according to WEF, is a big enabling technology. A lot of lawsuits. You've heard of this, but then what that is going to give us is inspiration and a lesson that as technologists, as corporate people, as consumers, we have to bring in data economy, but we have to bring that with the right controls and right ethics, right? Now, this now IEEE, for example, is driving a standard on data trading system, and it is good to know that many organizations are actually driving technology, driving standards, technical standards for enforcing the data collection, data use, and data disposal and storage. Right. So, what next? The points of debate today that will be interesting to us as you and me as individuals is there is so much serious talk about digital IDs, convergence of physical, biological, and digital identity. So, which means what it means is I, as Mahesh, I, the physical body, me, the biological, which is my genes, and my digital, which is my Aadhaar card or passport, they all combine under one digital ID and stored somewhere. So which means that all I have to do is walk through airports, walk through borders, because it is all combined. They can quickly get my digital identity because there is technology available to know to recognize me as Mahesh Venkataraman. There is so much discussion about social credit system, which is that you'll be given social credit if you behave well, right? And all that comes from data. Now, what we have to be aware of is how do we ensure that I protect there is health autonomy, because a lot of these things are very, very good in the light of pandemic. They are talking about pandemic treaty wherein WHO can take over the country's pandemic response when they declare the pandemic, right? And they can dictate the medical protocols. Very good, right? But what is the control mechanism? My money, right? In Sweden, they have already started having implants in their hands to replace cash, credit cards. And central bank digital currency is very interesting concept wherein the government will only issue CBDC. It is programmable, which means if they give me 100 rupees CBDC, it will also be programmed into it. What should I use it for? They will tell me, do not use it for travel because there is climate change happening. Use it for food. That too, what kind of food? And it will expire in 2 months. So all this is real. Nothing is imagined. Nothing is conspiracy theory. All this is real. Then, of course, many of us depend on social media. But what about social media control? We've seen that many accounts during the last 2 years were cancelled because they went against official narrative. All these technologies are great, but would we, because they also could be a great mechanism or a very, very good mechanism, powerful mechanism for power and control, apart from profits, growth, social growth, safety, convenience, governance, and all the good things that data economy will bring, right? So coming back, this is the balance that we have to look at. Whatever you are, from a career perspective, you could be in government driving a data economy. Very important. You could be in regulatory body driving data economy. You could be a citizen consumer, influencing your community, right? You could be a corporation, doing your best for the corporation to grow and make money and increase market, right? And you could be a privacy think tank, right? Influencer and a technologist, right? Uh, in all this, it's important that we all keep the balance and ensure that we all together realize the promise of data economy. That brings us to the end of this presentation. Rupsa, then over to you.
Hello. Thank you, sir. That was certainly a very insightful talk. You touched upon the issues of the blocks and the drivers of the economy, and how the privacy design should be, how the governance structure should be. You even touched upon how important connections are in building the data economy. So I would request the participants to please put their questions in the chat box. Uh, uh, Okay, we have a question from Somnath. Recently, the government withdrew the personal data protection bill from the parliament. As of now, we don't have a comprehensive framework which will deal with the millions of Indians' data and their privacy. What do you think on this move by the government?
This is very interesting. You know, Often what happens is, we think that the government is a monolith, right? The government has its own constituents, right? The government is influenced by lobbies. The government has good intentions. The government could be influenced by certain lobbies, as we spoke about, right? Now it is very difficult for me to say why they took this. But then I think from an India perspective, right? Privacy is not discussed, right? Privacy is not discussed. People are okay to share their bank balance, except for corporate people like you and me, because we've been told, the company is not to share our salaries. So it's very muddled as to what is privacy. And second is, I said there is an undercurrent of debate between should you legislate on data collection or should you legislate on data usage? Should I focus more on usage and permitting and ensuring I, as a consumer, as a citizen, have control over how it is used rather than control over how it is collected? Because I have no control over collection. That is, and then think tanks like WEF are saying if you have so much legislation on collection at the collection stage, you are not going to realize the potential of data economy. So all this could be playing in the mind of government. So keep this in mind. Otherwise, I really do not know why they did that. But
Thank
you
you, sir.
got right. You got what I'm saying, that there is so many factors that could have contributed. Any other question?
Uh, the participants, I would request you to please put the questions. Uh, so I myself have a question. So the data exchange, the concept of data exchange is very new in India. So what will happen? Like, how will profits, this privacy issues will get affected when more data exchange participants come in? Like, more data exchange platforms evolve in India.
Yeah. So as I said, right, there are privacy enhancing technologies that have been, spoken about. That technology is there at a component level. Those technologies, there is a very high degree of faith and trust that the technologies will ensure that privacy can be enforced. The question comes now, should we redefine privacy in the light of the fact that India is among the largest consumer of Facebook, right? Um, should I be given the right to say that I don't want anyone to collect my data at all? Which means, will I be prepared to delete my account from Facebook? Will I be prepared not to use Google Map? Right? Because somewhere in Google, the fact that I traveled to the retail store or I went for a movie is stored, right? I'm assuming, right? Even if I say delete location history, that's information most likely is stored. And that has been always the contention, that even though you told me you have deleted, you still had it and that got leaked. So the definition of privacy, I think, as individuals, we have to start to redefine.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we have a question from Professor Inder, sir. Sir?
Yeah, thank you. So thanks for the talk. I enjoyed your talk a lot. Um, One question, I mean, you talked a lot about various kinds of AI ML techniques and inferencing from data and so forth. And do you have some good examples in the public sector where these techniques have actually been used in an effective way? Um, I mean, either within India or actually internationally. I mean, some actual examples where you can say, okay, data is being used in some effective fashion to deliver some public good.
Yeah, so public sector, I do not have too many examples. In the private sector, I'm
Do you
exposed
have
to.
any examples actually? Because I mean, the reason I'm asking you is because a lot of people talk about this. I've heard a lot of people mention these things. When you actually say, well, has anything actually been done? The answer very often is no. And I would actually ask the question, why? I mean, what are the reasons why, things have not been effective in the public sector? Yeah, I know a lot of things have been done in the private sector, but I'm
Yeah.
actually really interested in the public sector.
See, I concur with you. I have not seen too many case studies of success in public sector, and I can only guess the reason, as much as you could, primarily because is there a clear strategy and vision by the public sector to invest in data? And second is, do they have a clear purpose of what they're going to use? Two technology that are very, very good today is, of course, voice recognition and video recognition, right? I mean, you could always find a person quickly. But apart from that, the prediction technologies need a lot of investment, mental investment, management investment, and technology investment. So I agree with you. Public sectors, I haven't come across too many of them, and the reasons could be any of these: a lack of purpose, a lack of investment, and a lack of good talent. How many people in India and public sector would have data scientists who are best in class coming from IISc or Center for Policy and Research?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I think another big reason is also just the quality of the data, right? I mean,
Yes.
if you look at a lot of the data, you find it's, the claim is that there's all kinds of data. When you start looking into it, you find a lot of it is actually garbage, to be blunt. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
you kind of wonder what to do about that. I mean, do you have any thoughts in terms of how to improve the quality of data? I mean, if you go, for example, to the open data portal, right? I mean, the opendata.gov, right? I mean, and you'll find all kinds of, literally thousands of data sets, but probably 0.1% of them are actually usable in any effective way, right? 99.9% of them are just out of date, irrelevant. In many cases they are, incomplete. Do you have any thoughts in terms of how to improve that? How
Yeah.
one can, yeah.
Yeah, so a couple of things. One is that my personal, belief in seeing how success of data science, continuum, I call it, is that when you collect data, there must be a clear purpose why you're collecting the data, so that the quality of data can be inbuilt in the process of collection. Second is the discontinuity of data chain. For example, if I am entering the data from a paper, I have noted down something in a piece of paper, and then that goes into some, after a couple of days, goes into a computer. That is a problem. Third is, if there could be better connections for the, at least the government, right? If they connect many of these data sources together, they could do away with a lot of manual re-entering and a data value continuum, right? That is not there, and that is exactly what World Economic Forum talks about, that if they can combine these various sources, you won't have points of discontinuities and the issues with data quality. So two things: purpose to be defined clearly, why I'm collecting, so that I know what to collect. I don't collect more than required, not because privacy, that is a different issue. It's a different important issue, but I don't collect unnecessary data. Second is, how do I ensure there is a, a sensible combination of multiple databases? Professor, would you concur with this?
No, I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense. And yeah, I mean, we can talk more. I mean, I think there are other reasons as well, but I think your thoughts are very interesting. Thank you.
Definitely look forward to having a interaction with you on this. I would like to know more about, because you IAC interacts with a lot of government and private organizations. So definitely
Right.
would like to know more about it.
Right. We definitely will. We'll follow up and schedule something. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you. Rupsa, any
So,
other question?
yes, sir. So we have a question from Debashi. In a country like India, where the society has structural inequality, how can we ensure equitable data protection? What can be some policy suggestions?
I think, see, social inequality is a social issue, but I think India with the increasing penetration of mobile phone, I have a feeling that is going to go away, right? One is social economic inequality, but then when I see my household help saying that pay me by Bhim, I feel very positive. No matter the privacy issues, we have to attack, we have to address. So I think India has done great work in driving technology adoption at the lowest level. The person may not know how to read, but will know how to operate a mobile phone, how to go to ATM. Even I wouldn't know sometimes, some complex smartphone apps they would be operating, right? So that gives me hope.
Thank you, sir. We have another question from Lucky Raja. As I read somewhere in news, China is using facial recognition to exploit minorities, and Ukraine is using agents along with Russia. Both are using surveillance footages, and India is developing the same technology. So, what is your opinion on it?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things. One is that I do not know whether India is not doing it. If for once I don't believe really that India is not investing. The second is should India develop it on its own or should it integrate it? Often innovation happens through integration of existing technology, right? Surveillance technology is already there today. When I say surveillance, I'm saying surveillance in a positive way, right? Surveillance for the purpose of safety and security of citizens. Now, if India not doing it, I really cannot believe India is not doing it, right? Second is, should India develop from scratch? Not necessarily. India can go to friendly countries. India can get the foreign countries to come here and invest. But again, as I said, what we have to drive the government as citizens is drive the purpose. Constantly talk about the purpose, talk about vision, talk about what we want. We talk a lot about what is not there. Bad roads, this, that. Can we change the conversation to what do we want the government? What do we want from a higher order vision perspective, right? I know this can be debated. This is my response, Lucky Raja.
Thank you, sir. We have another question from Somnath. Many foreign technology players raised question on local storage requirement in the proposed PDP Bill 2019. These tech players mentioned that this will affect on free flow of data, whereas government mentioned that this is important from privacy perspective of Indians. What do you think on this?
See, I think in the new model, the new model of World Economic Forum, the reason why I'm saying World Economic Forum again and again is that they seem to have huge resources at their command, right? There are 5,000 members, there are 3,000 organizations contributing, they have the best of brains, right? Now, what I'm saying is, as long as we have the privacy enhancing technologies, does it really matter where that data would lie, right? Now, why I'm saying this, I'm being, positive. It's a positive statement, not normative statement. What if you restrict all the data to India, right? Will India be a great player in the data economy? If you want to stop the data from going out of India, then are we okay with the consequence of it, right? And in the connected world, is it possible to enforce it? My data, if I am a globetrotter and if I am employed in a multinational, it's not my data in somebody else's. If somebody in India travels abroad and then enters something in the website there, is that data is not stored there? So I want to ask some fundamental questions, right? I would definitely like your challenging views on this, but I want to be pragmatic here. Privacy is good, but pragmatism is also required, no?
Thank you, sir. Do we have any other questions from the participants? Uh, okay, so with this, we come to the conclusion of the webinar. Thank you, sir. I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to you on the behalf of the Center for Society and Policy, Indian Institute of Science, and Indian Urban Data Exchange. I had a great time listening to you, and I hope the participants felt the same too. Looking forward to meeting everyone in the next webinar in the days to come. Thank you all. Wishing you a very happy weekend. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I really proud of IUDX. I think great work is being done there, and I thank Center for Policy and Society, thank IASC for the opportunity. Definitely hope to continue the dialogue with such a distinguished audience. Thank you, Rupsa. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, sir, just sorry to disturb, but there is one last question that we have. What is your opinion about the Pegasus controversy?
Shall we have a separate conversation on this? It's a controversy is by definition not to be discussed in public. No,
Okay.
you want me to take sides? Enough has been said on it, I'm sure.
Sir,
Somnath, yeah.
there's another question. Somnath had asked that somewhere in the middle of the presentation, you mentioned that there are benefits and risks for data sharing from individuals, other players. From individual perspective, where we have to share our consent while accessing that website, is there any other means? Way?
Yes, Somnath, I see my answer is very simple. I have not really now personally, I don't know what is my privacy, right? Wherever I go, somebody knows it. Some camera knows it. Some app knows it. Somebody's taking a photograph, right? I'm more worried about my physical security and financial, security. I will protect my passwords, my apps. I will ensure I have a great password, and I'll ensure I don't click on some suspicious. So personally, I've I really stopped worrying about privacy. Let everybody know, because I give my Aadhaar card to people in hotels. I give my phone number to a chai point or Starbucks, or they should not be asking my phone number, but they ask my phone number because they say, "Sir, you will get discount." My date of birth they want. I just say 1st January 1970 or 1900, but they want it. No, what do I do? Can I say I will not give you mobile number? A sports company in India, says we will not send you, we will not give you bills, but if your mobile number is with us, we have history of purchase. Anytime you want it to be returned, we can look up your purchase through your mobile number. Mobile number and me connected. Is that not personal information? So what do I do? Forget about all this. Protect your financial assets with whatever is required. That's what I would say, Somnath.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It was a great session. Thank you.
Thank you, Rupsa. Thank you all. Have a great Friday evening and a great weekend. And we'll hope to talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.
Watch. Watch. Camera on.